Hi, my name is Yatsiel. The title of my project is Yeast Food. Yeast has all kinds of uses, but one essential one is the main ingredient in bread. This research will help bakers or anyone trying to bake bread. It will show them that the more sugar added, the greater the fermentation or growth of the yeast, and it will help them make a perfectly sized loaf of bread. My question is, how does the amount of sugar affect the fermentation of yeast? My hypothesis is how does the amount my hypothesis is that the results will show that the more fermentation, the more sugar was added. I worked under adult supervision the whole time. I wore protective equipment such as an apron, safety goggles, and heat-resistant gloves. I will use a thermometer for measuring the heat of the boiling water. The biggest number was 16 centimeters of fermentation. The greatest change was the sugar. For the first cup, I put 1 teaspoon of sugar. For the second, 2 teaspoons of sugar. For the third, 3 teaspoons of sugar. The greater the fermentation, the better, because it supports my hypothesis. The results show that the more fermentation, the more sugar was added. My hypothesis was supported because in all of my trials, the yeast fermented. The greatest results were when the yeast fermented a lot. In conclusion, my hypothesis was supported. Obstacle, limitations, and assumptions. One big obstacle was boiling the water. Because sometimes the thermometer measured more than 65 centimeters, which meant I needed to wait for it to cool down. The assumptions was the amount of yeast. Because sometimes the yeast gets stuck in the packaging. Another limitation I had was the sugar. Sometimes the sugar ran out, so I had to wait 2 days for it to buy it. For future studies, the more sugar, the bigger the yeast. No, we're not going to do that next. We're going to add more yeast and less sugar. Thank you. This is my presentation. Here are my image citations.